This is the Spring Break powder glider on the table under the pretty lights, and just wanted to go through a few quick things with this board. First off, you can see it's just got a massive nose coming down to kind of like an interesting fun little split tail, so you get really good directional float, and you can see there's like a short kind of quick side cut, and this is just one of those powder boards. And laying it down on the table, you can see there's just a nice flat section between the feet, going to early rise in the tail, and a very mellow early rise in the nose that kind of just transitions into this super long nose. And look at the thickness here. It's just thicker than just about any other board I've ever seen. And it's got this, and it does something to that, to the way it feels on snow. It's very light too. You would think it would be super heavy, but it's lighter than a lot of boards. And nowadays, the way Capita is just doing their construction of the Spring Break and all their other boards, something this big and thick would seem like it might break easier, or feel hollow and chattery or something like that. But they're just giving it good pop and energy, especially for flat to rocker, and also giving it this better flex than you would think. They've really come a long way since the first Spring Break boards, like my old Tree Hunter. That was a very stiff flex, and it felt like it couldn't give as much. It felt like it couldn't bend as much before it broke. This feels like it can bend a lot more before it breaks. So very cool. Let's get into a couple measurements here. First off, you're looking at over the inserts. People want to know how wide it is, because these are more kind of regular, bordering on mid-wide. They're not really like true mid-wides, but just to give you an idea so you can compare this to your boot length, looking at just about 27 centimeters on the back, which is pretty good. And then about 27.3, maybe 27.4. And on the front here, off the back, 28.6, 28.7, somewhere around there. This is very rough, but just to give you an idea. And then almost 30 off the front. Now, to talk about setback on board versus setback on side cut, you're looking, and if you want to set it all the way back, you're looking at 22.75 inches back on board. And then setting it all the way back to that 22.75 inches, which is doable. I'd slide it in a little bit, but you're looking at about 23.75. And if you want to go from this tail, it's kind of hard because there is this cutout here, that goes from here to here. And it does kind of come back in. But let's just take it from tail to here. You're looking at 15 and a half about. And what did I say? 23.5 to 23.75, probably closer to 23.5. So what was that, 15.5 and 23.5? Yeah, so you're looking at just about 8, maybe a little more, maybe 8.25 of a difference between nose and tail. That makes it about 4 and maybe a little change inches back on board. That's pretty far. In comparison to some, it isn't, but it's good enough, and it gets pretty far back and surfy while still having a little tail for an air or two. It's not the perfect airboard, but it's pretty good these days. It's gotten much better now that it can flex a little more and give a little more bend without breaking. You can get pretty good directional float, and we've ridden this in the deepest of deep. Wow. It just, even though it's so tapered and the tail sinks a little bit, it just still feels like it's higher on snow than any other board I've tried. And there's just this thicker core, this lighter feel. It just has this really unique feel to it that I haven't felt with any other board except for the other spring break boards. I like this board better in the trees than my Tree Hunter, funny enough. That the Powder Glider is my choice for the trees, and the Tree Hunter is more my 61. Tree Hunter 61 would be more a choice for going big, you know, out in the deepest of deep, you know, like wide open terrain and stuff like that. Not bad in the trees at all, but this is just faster, a little more quick, a little more slashy. This base is good, but like on days when I was out with like the Jones Mind Expander 58 versus this, the Mind Expander had better glide, but they're like two completely separate rides, and you can see that detailed comparison below. But what I realized is this like sits higher, but the Mind Expander can set a little further back and has a faster base. But this base has good glide to it. It's die cut, but you don't feel it too bad. And when it's well waxed for the conditions, it's got good glide to it. So it is, you know, Powder Glider. It's just maybe not the best of the best, like Jones and Gentim Stick and like some of those, you know, really high-end bases, like high-end Jones and high-end Gentim Stick. But it's got very good glide for what it is, and if it's, you know, always wax on a powder day. And this is mainly a powder ride, so, you know, put some really nice graphite wax on it, and away it'll go. So there you have it. This is my beloved, personally owned Powder Glider, and I just love taking it out when it gets deep.